This little box here is actually a mining server case for cell phones that is branded as the CellHasher, and they were kind enough to send it over for some testing and to do some phone content. And so today we're going to go ahead and get this unboxed. We're going to take a look at it, and I'm going to let you know where you can buy these if you are interested in them. So right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and get this unboxed. And these do ship out of the USA. So if you are interested in this, this is branded as the CellHasher. And on the inside, we have a packing slip, which has my information on it. So I'm just going to set that to the side. And right off the bat, what you can see is this is indeed very small. If we take a look at the dimensions of the box, we're looking at 14 inches by 10 inches, and it is 8 inches high. So very small form factor. And we can see we've got a standard ATX power cord. We've got a whole lot of adapters here. I'm going to talk about these in a minute. And we can also see some ribbon cable attachments that go to power connectors. So we will be talking about those as well. And let's go ahead and get this out. Alright, and when we unbox it, we can see the lid actually is not screwed in, but it is a kind of a swivel, so it's got pivot joints on the back here. So that is actually pretty cool. We will eventually put screws in there, but you can see the top is vented, and the back is also vented. And then, let's go ahead and set that to the side. The front is pretty much solid. The sides got a little bit of vent holes on the side here as well. This side, we have the ATX power connector, your standard C13. We've got a USB-B connector. So this will allow you to actually hook up like a control board. So you can run like a Raspberry Pi, any type of really SBC or just a computer if you want, to actually control all of the devices, which are really cool. And then we've got dip switches for 20 devices, so we've got 10 and 10. And this is most likely just to control whether we want that port activated or not. And then on the inside, we take a look here, we've got 3 fans. And it looks like these are all 5-volt fans. And then there you can see on the bottom, it's got little standoffs. And then it's got the intake air from the bottom, and it blows out the top. And then if we take a look, it's going to be a little bit hard to see here on camera, but we've got 20 USB ports lined on the board here. Those are going to be our data ports. And then down here we've got 20 power connectors. And what those can be used for is those can be used to power the phone without the battery in them. And then we've got perforations to slot the phones in right here, all the way down through. Due to the thickness here, we do have a couple phones that we're going to take a look at and see if they fit with the batteries in them. If not, we're going to have to take the batteries out and solder in some power connectors. But we can see we do have a main style power supply in here. And that is pretty much it. We've got, we've got our 110 volt coming in, going to the power supply, and then out to basically this massive motherboard has everything we need in it. So pretty unique setup. We can see the power for the fans are going to that as well. So first thing we're gonna do is before we plug it in and see how loud it is, we're going to go ahead and take a look at these adapters. And what we can see is we've got a USB-C to USB-A. So those would plug in right here. So So we've got the adapter on. We're just going to go ahead and try slotting this in here. And let's see if it'll plug in. And there you can see, plug direct in that spot. And then we've got another phone here. Now this one is a micro USB, not a USB-C. So let's see if they gave us any micro USB adapters in here. Go ahead and empty out the contents of this bag. And it looks like we don't have those. However, I happen to have some of those on hand. So let me go ahead and grab one of those adapters real quick. So we do have a micro USB to USB-A. Now this one's a little bit longer, as you can see. However, this should still work. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in. We've got that into the phone. We're going to go ahead and slot the phone in, and on this one, what we can notice is that it is actually too thick, the phone itself. So this is one of the things you're going to need to keep an eye on. If we force it in, we're probably going to end up scratching the screen. So I'm not going to use this phone. And this is actually like a cheaper TCL phone that you can get on Amazon, so keep that in mind. Here's another example. If we try to slot this one in, also too thick. Now this is an older blue phone. Slot this one in. This one goes in a little bit better. So it is still snug, but it does slot in, and this one is actually USB-C. So we can go ahead and pop in the USB-C cable adapter. And there we can see this one is actually still pretty snug. It's probably not the best. Now one thing I do want to mention here is with this grate here, it does screw in on the sides from here to here. So really we could probably get some like PETG and 3D print a whole new assembly. So if we needed a little bit more wider spacing, we could probably 3D print something to kind of shave down you know, this gap that's in here on the solid piece. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this one because it is very tight in there. Next up, this is a really older blue phone and super thin. So as you can see, slots in fine. However, with this one, our power port is not in the center. It's actually on the side. So let's see what this would look like if we were to slot this one in. So we're going to go ahead and slide the micro USB adapter in. And the way this one would work, we can see it's actually not going to work because of the orientation of the ports. So due to that, we will not be able to plug this phone in, unfortunately. But that's okay. Now the one test that I want to do is my favorite phone for mining, the Samsung Galaxy A03s. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those. We're going to try it. Alright, so now we have a Galaxy A03s. We're going to go ahead and pop on one of these USB-C adapters. And let's see if this will notch in or not. There we can see it is slotted in, and this has the battery already installed in it still, and the screen, everything's intact. So full phone slotted in. It is somewhat of a snug fit. However, it does slot right in there. And as you can tell, it's actually very hard to tell the difference between the Moto and the A03s when they're slotted in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, power it on. We're going to see if the phones get power or not. I'm not 100% sure if they will. And if they don't, these are included. And what these are is you can disassemble the phone, take the battery out, and there's a little snip on the back of the battery you can cut, and you can snap this in to the battery, plug this into the unit and it will supply power directly to the phone without going through the USB port. And then there are some changes you have to do on the phone, mainly put it in fast boot mode, disable the battery check, things like that. We may cover those in a future video. There'll be tons of more content coming on this case. We do want to try a bunch of various things to see the utility of this case. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and plug this in. So we're going to grab... Fans are super quiet, really nice. That would be the equivalent of probably just like a pre-built PC you got, like a cheap like HP PC you would get at like a Walmart, you know, those $400, $500 gaming PCs. So really happy with the audible sound, and it looks like our first phone actually did get power to the USB. Let's see if the second one did or not. So to further test this, I'm going to actually take this out and we're going to move it to the side. Okay. So we're actually sitting at 48% battery, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this. We've got the screen off. We're just going to go ahead and slot this in. And it is charging. So this actually looks like we probably have a 5-volt rail that's coming up from the power supply through the power ports and to the USB cables. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get this set up, and I'll cover this in a future video, but we're gonna get this set up. We're gonna put some phones in it. We're gonna see if they maintain a charge. And we're also gonna see what the temps are like compared to, you know, what I have currently on my Connect stand. So I'm actually going to we'll be grabbing 20 AO3Ss in a future video, slotting them all in, and seeing if we can achieve a better hash rate by running inside this case. Now, as I mentioned, this case is branded as the CellHasher, and you can get this at CellHasher.com. I believe they're around $130, which seems like a great deal. At the surface, again, we're going to have to do some thorough testing with this, see what the capabilities are. But so far, if these are holding a charge, this is amazing because it means we won't have to take the batteries out, which I'm really intrigued by. Worst case scenario, we do have to take the batteries out of 20 phones, but we will definitely test that. And again, CellHasher.com, if you're interested. I believe they do have these plenty in stock. Prey shipping super quick. They provide me the tracking number. I had it at my door within like 2 to 3 days. So really happy so far with this unit. Now, the one thing I did notice when we were unboxing this stuff is that there were no screws for the lid. So the lid will slot in here, and it actually does have 4 screw holes at the top, but those screws were not included. So I will reach out to them and we will find out if those screws come factory or not. And if not, probably just a standard PC screw set will get you those 4 screws intact if you want to screw it. The other nice thing is if you get some flush screws here, you could probably actually stack these vertical. Because you do have the standoffs. It is sucking air in and pushing out the top. And so what you could end up with is you could end up with essentially a tower of these, not using much space at all. Or you could even turn it potentially on its side. So you've got a lot of options here. So far at service, everything looks great. I actually really like the unit, and I'm looking forward to doing some more testing with it.